Okay, sandbags. Now, if you go onto YouTube, you will find loads of people making sandbags. I don't think there's no wrong way, and I don't think there's no right way of making them. It's individual choice. Now, I'll show you my little take on making sandbags, just using Dad's clay. I find this is the cheapest way, and you can get a lot more sandbags for your money than buying resin ones. But if you're a bit lazy and you don't want to make them, well, you can buy the resin ones. Now, start off with, we cut a wedge of clay, and all I'm using to cut this with, when I get it out, is, I find them very useful. These are the blades that actually go in wallpaper scrapers. You can get them all different size. They're quite sharp, but they're very useful. So I'll just shift them bits and pieces out of the way for a minute. So all we start doing is squeezing it together and start forming a sausage up. That's about the only thing you can call it, is a sausage. And just start rolling out. It's a bit like being back at school. Now that's going to be a bit too long for me to manage, so we'll cut that in half and we'll get rid of half of it. Now, I have a piece of doweling here that I use. This is a 9mm piece of doweling. I use that as a rough guide to the thickness of my sausage, should I say. So that's what I roughly use to roll it out to, because this goes a long, long way. So once you opening that, once you get it to roughly the thickness, then I move over to just ordinary block of wood and just use that. Look in the camera here. Use that to actually just finish it off and make it. And that's getting a bit too long, so we'll get rid of that bit. So we'll roughly get into that, but using the block of wood just makes it of equal size, should I say. So once we get it to that, just use a piece of wood, gently press down just to flatten it, and then I cut them off at about 20mm, but it's individual choice of how you want to cut it off. I think 20mm looks about right for 1/35 scale. So that's the first one. Second, third, fourth, and we just keep going all the way along. Like I say, it's just roughly at 20mm. They don't have to be exact, because no sandbags are all the same, because it depends who builds them, and depends how energetic they feel carrying them. So we've got our little blanks. Now all we do is I just sort of run them around in my fingers, and then with a small pair of tweezers I just crimp all the way around the sandbag, like so. Now I don't know if you can see that. We're going to have to try and bring you a little bit close, but I've just run a little crimp, not too much, all the way around the outside. And then what I do, I've got a piece of cling film up here which I just put them on, And I carry on doing that with my bags. Now, I use the sandbags before the clay actually goes off. I find it's best because if you just make them and leave them, they won't sit nicely on top of each other. So I will keep doing these, and as he drops the tweezers, just crimping round. I mean, you can flare the corners, you can do what you really like. I don't put no ends on them because you never see too many ends of the tied ends of the bags. The tied ends always going against something solid on either side of the trench. So it's very rarely you actually see it. So I shall keep doing that. So I'll put you on pause while I get these done. I'll make the video too long, but you can understand what I'm actually doing is just smoothing them round with your fingers and then crimping them, just making the seam of the sack all the way around. Right, I shall put you on pause, I shall get them all done and then I'll come back. Right, these are all the finished sandbags. Now they've been sat on cling film for roughly about 3/4 of an hour because I like a little bit of a skin on the top of my bags, because then they actually sort of they react like a bag with something inside. Now we're going to start on the step first, so I'll put you on pause, move you across, and we'll get started on the step. Right, so we're back with the little vignette or small diorama, whatever you would like to call it. Now, to do this you don't need a great deal of tools. All I've got here is my little blade that I use to cut the clay with, a little wax tool just to push corners in, a scalpel just in case I need it, paintbrush and PVA. And like I say, we'll start on the step first and we'll put some PVA down, quite a bit because I like things to stick down. Then all we start to do is pick the bags with the reasonable end and we start pushing them in to where we want, all the way along. Like so. Now this is the step, i.e. the gun platform as they call it, or I don't know what they really call it, but we'll just keep going all the way along on this one. I should do another one, and if you actually push them in together, and when you actually come to posts, like so, then what I do, I use my little flat scraper and I just press them down just to get them all in place like so. Now I'm going to carry on and get this whole section done and I'll be back. Right, I've gone all the way along with the sandbags, and the reason I've done this first is because I want to put this duck board in so I can get the height of the next ones, and that don't look too bad. So what I'm going to do is press that down into the bags. That will be glued down a bit later on, but that's going to make a nice indent to where it's going to sit. So we've got the sandbags running on the bottom and we've got the duck board on top. Now I'm going to bring in my assistant, German soldier. Now this is a 1/35 scale, and now we need to actually sort of build this front up now to be a reasonable and sensible height where he's peering over the top. So we're going to take him away and we're going to start along the top here. Now it's exactly the same as what I've done down the bottom there, plenty of PVA glue, but this time we're going to do it a course of sandbags long ways instead of crossways. We'll leave the long ways ones for the top, hopefully. Alright, so PVA glue, and you can hear some noises behind me. It's my dog Jake just come in, and we'll just push them down like so. All the way along. Sorry if my big hand's in the way. It's going to be, we're going to have to make a half bag up, which is a shame. So we just cut a bag in half, do the same, and now I've lost my tweezers. They're there, and we'll just do the same. Just make sure it's got a little crease on, and we'll enter that in to the end. I just like to use this because it just flattens it down, ready for the next course, and it just makes them sort of bulge that little bit as sandbags would, get the weight on. So that's our first course on the top. Now I put my little man back again just as a reference, because I think we're going to need to go up a couple of courses, so I don't know if to go, it's going to be a bit too long. Well, I suppose we could start on a course that way as well. It's not going to hurt. So if we start again, a bit of PVA all the way along, and we've already got a half cut because we cut that bag in half. So if we do exactly the same with that, crimp the end up, because this end is going to be visible from the side of this little vignette, and then we'll just start again. Oh, with the bags, pressing them down as we go along. Really move him because he's getting in my way. And hopefully that should work. Bags, and it does just about. And then we get a little scraper again, or scraper blade, and just gently press down just to make that solid. So there we've got the second course on. Put my little man back. Now we're still quite low there. I think even if we put a bag on edge, I don't think that's going to be high enough. So we're probably looking about another 2 bags. So what I'm going to do, I shall do another course of sandbags and go from there. So I'm going to put you on pause and I'm going to put another course of sandbags and I'll be back. Right, I've got it up to height, as you can see, by the little German soldier hiding behind the back of it. Now, I'm going to leave that to dry, but in the process, what I'm going to turn my attention to, if we turn it round, is I'm going to start getting this filled at the back here. I'm just going to mix up some plaster and fill down the back, and just bring it, just so one course of sandbags is proud of the surface here. The simple reason is I'm going to put some picket posts and barbed wire curled up along this front here. The barbed wire and the picket posts will be in, I'll be doing that on a different video actually, because I should do a tutorial on barbed wire and the picket posts together. But that will go on there eventually. But that's what I'm going to turn my attention to now while this is drying. I'm going to mix some plaster up and we'll get this back section filled. Now I found a piece of balsa wood that was just the right thickness and it filled this back in just nice. So I used that instead of mixing some filler up. Now while I'm waiting for all this to dry, I'm going to get on and I'm going to run some timber around the outside. Now I discovered this, it's slightly thicker, and what I'm going to do is on these edges here, I'm going to take it over the top of the timber. I should probably just cut the timber back a little bit and get that sat on there flush, just to make a nice trim all the way around the bottom of the base, like so. So I'm going to get that done and I should be back with you in a little while. Okay, I've been a little bit naughty here. I've gone on and I've done quite a bit without actually doing any clips. Now, if I bring the camera down a little bit more, now I've put the trim, like I said, all the way around, and I've actually taped it off to protect it while I've got some of the soil in. I've put planking on the side, and I've ran the planking all around the back as well, just to finish it off, and because I'm going to stain it and probably give it a little coat of varnish just to make it look nice. And I've done exactly the same this end as well. So that's all been done. I've mixed up a little bit of soil with some PVA and I've just banked the back up. If we lift the camera up, as you can see, I've just run it's just soil with some PVA mixed in, and I've put some down here where the sump's going to go, and that's all I've done. I'll still be naughty. I should have done a few clips, but I was in the hangout tonight with John and everyone else, and I was just tinkering away, and to be honest with you, I didn't really realise what I had done. Now I'm going to leave all this to dry and we shall get on with some weathering. So that will be on the next clip. So I'm going to leave this to dry and we'll start getting the wood and the sandbags all painted and getting it look like it should do.